And the chair recognizes Steve Cohen of Tennessee, one of our newer members but highly concerned. He's been here at the hearing almost all day.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd like to ask the panel, does anybody know the countries in Europe where they have permitted Internet gambling? Mr. Colopy, do you know? Any other countries other than the UK?
Mm-hmm. There are several. I couldn't list them for you.
Does anybody else know which countries they are, Ms. Duke?
If I may be mistaken, I just want to say that, but I believe that the UK, Germany, Sweden, Finland.
That's enough. Does anybody know if there have been
going?
any studies in any of those countries other than England? Nobody knows of any studies. Does anybody know if divorce, bankruptcies, suicides, mass exoduses, scurvy have occurred in those countries other than England?
I actually, the rate that those have occurred in England is quite low. The UK gambling prevalence study, which was just completed, the last study was completed in 1999, which was at the front edge of Internet gambling when it wasn't particularly prevalent.
Thank you, Ms. Duke. Do you have a study to rely on?
The UK gambling prevalence study.
Is that the same study, Mr. McCluskey, you cited?
Yes, it is.
And you said that it cited that there was a low amount of addiction or high use for people playing the lottery and horse racing, et cetera, but higher for Internet gambling. Is that correct?
That is correct.
But with Congressman Wexler asked you something about horse racing, you said you would look into prohibiting horse racing. So you really think horse racing is wrong, too, and you should look into making that illegal?
Well, that would be something I said that we'd be willing to talk with Mr. Wexler if he was serious about including such an exemption if he was afraid that it was going to affect.
Do you think that horse racing and dog racing and lottery should be legal in the United States?
Are you asking
yes,
for the
you
opinion?
think, yes, you personally.
Family Research Council does believe that such things should be illegal.
Should be legal.
Should be illegal.
Should be illegal. So it's really not the Internet you're against, it's gambling in general. Is that right?
Yes, that would be true, or at least unrestricted gambling, such as we have with the Internet or other.
But the lottery is restricted. You can't play if you're a child. Same thing with horse racing. But you're against that, are you not?
Yes.
So it's restricted or unrestricted. You're against it.
Yes.
Is there any fun that you're for?
Any what?
Fun.
Well, we're for this, and this seems like a lot of fun.
Hearings? Good. Let me ask Ms. Hanaway a question. Were you in Missouri when they had the referendums on horse racing and on lottery and casino gaming?
I was.
And was it predicted there that all these awful things would occur, that the river would go all the way back up to Cairo, that the Cardinals would leave, and that Busch Stadium would no longer exist?
There were some predictions that it would have ill effects, but none of those precisely as you described.
They talked about divorce rates going up, that bankruptcies would increase, that all those kind of things, didn't they?
I believe so.
That's the standard litany. I sponsored and passed the lottery in Tennessee. They said all those things would occur. None of them occurred. And in fact, what happened is we've raised $1 billion for education. And the most avaricious group trying to get into the lottery program to get scholarships were the faith-based schools, who wanted more money for the private than the public, or equal to, when they first were only going to be half as much. And then they wanted exemptions, extra exemption after exemption for homeschoolers, for people on missions, which I went ahead with and agreed with, said, fine, no problem, they're kids and they're fine. But there was a little bit of hypocrisy because they were so much against it, then they were the first people at the trough. And that's a problem that I think, Mr. McCluskey, your group has. When you come and you predict the end of the earth and it doesn't occur, then the next time it's a little bit like Chicken Little. The sky's still up there. And that's a problem.
Well, I couldn't speak for Tennessee, but in most states where they have pushed for a lottery under the guise that it would promote for education, that has simply just not happened.
I understand that in most states. Tennessee's different. We follow the Georgia model. It's all to new revenue. It's to scholarships. It's to after-school programs. It's to before-school programs. It's been a great success. It's all monies they wouldn't otherwise have. So that's that case. Let me ask you this. Who did that study in Europe you're talking about in England? Do you know who did the study?
It was published by the National Center for Social Research.
And is that a private group or a public group?
Actually, I'm not sure about that.
Okay. You have to always look at who does the study and who they're being paid for or by. Anybody familiar with the lines that they publish in the newspaper of what the point spreads are on the basketball games, the football games? Do you think there's any booking going on in America? I mean, they don't put that in for recreational activity. There's some people looking at it. Let me ask Ms. Abend, did the Department of Treasury ever do an estimate on how much revenue the IRS could have realized if we had chosen to license and regulate Internet gaming from the beginning, how much money we could have brought into the United States?
The Treasury Department has been focused on following the statute that was set forth for us.
So you've never done a study?
Not that I'm aware of.
Do you know if anybody's done a study in either Treasury or somebody in Justice on how much money could be raised for schools and health care and other issues like that if we regulated this?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. What would be wrong, the panel, what would be wrong with a simple study? What's wrong with the study? Mr. McCluskey, what's wrong with the study?
Well, it would depend what the study was calling for. As I mentioned before in my testimony, Congress already called for a study back in 1999 and released that study.
Was was it Fahrenkopf? What's his name? What was that study on?
That was on it was on gambling, except also included looked at internet gambling.
Yeah, I think I know that study, and the deck was stacked. No offense, Ms. Duke. That does happen. Ms. Abend, was there the Department of Justice provide the Treasury Department with written comments or input prior to the release of the regulations that are developed?
Congressman, yes.
Would you be willing to provide us with a copy of those?
Congressman, I'll be happy to meet with you and your staff and work with you on that.
Well, let me defer to Chairman Conyers, if you would meet with Chairman Conyers and the staff, because he has the power of contempt. And if you don't bring him, you'll be brought into them and flogged. Thank you, though. Thank you. I appreciate your bringing him in. And I think my time is up, and with that, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much.